Hi, I'm Sally Bellerose from Northampton, Mass. I'm going to be reading from Fishwives, the story of two elderly lesbians who've been together for about 60 years, maybe a little over 60 years. I'm starting pretty close to the beginning, so I don't think you need any intro. Jackie and Regina are slouched, asleep on the couch. Jackie in her white boxers and sleeveless t-shirt. Regina in her robe and fuzzy pink slippers. Regina has her head on Jackie's shoulder. A car horn honks and partially rouses Jackie, who mutters, "Beau's in trouble." Jackie stretches. "Beau is still dead and completely out of harm's way, honey." She reaches into the pocket of her robe and applies two perfect sweeps of plum elegance lipstick without the benefit of a mirror. "Bad dream." Jackie rubs her face. "But at least I got to see Beau." "Beau asked you to look after Yvonne." Regina grabs the phone off the end table and tries to hand it to Jackie. "Call her." "Not before breakfast." Jackie shakes her head, confusing. Regina makes the call. Yvonne answers with, "This better be good. It's not 7 o'clock and I was having a good time in a dream for a change." "Morning, Yvonne," Regina says. "Jackie was having a bad dream. She said it was too early, but you know me," Regina says brightly. Headstrong. "You want company?" "Not at crack 2 o'clock, I don't." "You mean your woman couldn't sleep?" "She's still got the blues." Not being able to sleep is a classic sign of depression. "She's still having bad dreams?" "Yes, yes, and yes," Regina says. "She dreamed Beau was in trouble. I was dreaming about Beau myself. Just before we fell asleep, we were talking about that raid at the bar in Manhattan where we first met." "Let me drag myself into a sitting position." Yvonne huffs with the effort. "I love that story, the sub-colony," Yvonne says. "Sea colony," Regina corrects her. But Yvonne talks over Regina's correction. "Beau had a lot of stories about that sub-colony. Let's get Jackie telling those old stories. Put her on the phone." Regina holds the phone out. "For you." Jackie shakes her head again. Regina puts the phone on the coffee table, walks across the room, and stands with her hands on her hips. From her end, Yvonne yells, "You woke me up. Now pick up the phone. Stop making me yell, Jackie." Jackie picks up the receiver of the old-fashioned rotary phone, puts it to her mouth and ear, but says nothing. "There's my favorite heavy breather," Yvonne says. "You miss your buddy?" "Yes," Jackie says. "Me too. How I miss waking up to my Beau in the morning." "I'm sorry," Jackie says. "I didn't mean to bring up Beau." "You didn't. I did. I like bringing up Beau. Matter of fact, you need to come over here and tell me stories. Much as you claim to hate to talk, you talk up a storm when you're in the mood. But I was trying to make a point about all of us needing medication from time to time. You remember a few months after she died, I'd wake up, realize Beau would never be here next to me again. I got so depressed I could barely get out of bed. You and Regina had to force me to take the damn meds, and me, a doctor. Not that that matters when it comes to depression, to coping. You remember that?" "Yes." "Me and Regina love you enough to gang up on you and kick your ass. Take your antidepressants, please." Yvonne says please sweetly. She doesn't wait for a response, though. "That's me, my friendly and professional advice. You need to go see a doctor again, too, in case something besides being 90 and depressed is going on." All right, I'm done harassing you for this morning. Now, as the wife of your best friend, I'm going to tell you what Beau would surely, if she hadn't the bad manners to die. Yvonne's breathing gets heavy. "You okay?" Jackie asks Yvonne. "You okay?" "Relax, I'm just walking to the den. Let me sit down." She groans with the effort. "You ready to hear what I got to say?" "Does it matter?" "Not one bit," Yvonne laughs. "This is what you get for rousing me out of a sound sleep. Dreaming about one of those good parties we used to have, too." "I didn't want to call you," Jackie says. "Beau would tell you that white girls take the blues too damn hard." Jackie nods. "She told me that many times. Tell Regina." "Tell Regina. I'm not worried. You and Regina are the ones worried about me being depressed." Yvonne ignores Jackie's observation. "Beau would tell you to get off the couch and go do something that makes you happy. Wait a minute. What day is this? Saturday already? You can't come today. I got a bunch of old lady doctors coming for lunch and no food in the house. It doesn't matter. We try to outdo each other with food. They'll bring plenty. Come tomorrow, noontime. We'll have fancy leftovers, reheated. Do not call me first. Just come. Let me speak to Regina. I've got an idea. Take her to the dump, Yvonne tells Regina. That's Bo and Jackie's happy place. Yes, Regina says. Good idea. Poetic. The dump, to lift her out of the dumps. Yes, poetry, Yvonne says. First thing I think of when I take out the trash. When you come tomorrow, remind me to tell the story about the first time Daddy met Bo. We'll make Jackie tell about her bus ride to Holyoke and scaring your poor father with her buzz cut and chinos on a girl. She snorts. In that day and age, I'm going to make her tell that story over breakfast, Regina says. You do that. We're getting old, so old. You got to tell these young lust stories while we're still kicking. Yvonne hangs up. And I'll hang up right there. Thank you, Saints and Sinners. I love Saints and Sinners. Thanks for doing this online event. I hope to see you all there next year. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bud Gundy. I am here in my home in San Francisco. And in my defense, it's really not as messy as it looks over there. And if this shakes a little bit, it's because I have my laptop on one of those little stands. But thank you for clicking on this video. I'm going to read a very short piece from my last novel that I published with Bold Strokes called Accidental Prophet. Bold Strokes Books, an amazing outfit. And so the premise of the book, well, it's broken into 2 points of view. One is a woman named Claudia Trenton and her grandson, Drew. And Claudia, back in the 1970s, was a very famous television anchor and correspondent. I think I wrote a pretty interesting story for Claudia. And then Drew, in the opening chapter, Claudia announces that she has written a memoir from her time at the network, and she wants Drew to read it. And of course, nothing's going to stop him from reading it. Then Claudia dies, and Drew gets the memoir. And as he starts reading it, there's like these amazing things that his grandmother experienced at the network, things she couldn't report. They would have thought she was nuts. And then strange things start happening to Drew. And so anyway, that's kind of what the story is. So there's sort of a shattering climax for Claudia way back in the day in the 1970s, and also a very shattering climax for Drew in the present day. In fact, an apocalyptic scene in downtown San Francisco, which I don't think I've ever seen portrayed or have ever read as a potential apocalyptic scenario. So I was pretty excited to come up with it, but I'm probably fooling myself because, whoever comes up with anything new, right? Okay, so I'm going to read this from Claudia's section. And Claudia is she's very new at the network, but she's already broken some major stories. They've sent her to cover the Apollo-Soyuz mission in 1975, if you remember, the joint U.S.-Soviet space mission that was supposed to usher in an age of peace, but did nothing of the kind, of course. But she understands that this is a real test. If she knocks this out of the park, then she is going to be a star. So she was interviewing an astrophysicist. He says, "Come into my office. There's something that we're doing secretly here that somebody just needs to know." He's kind of naive about the media. Anyway, so he says, "We have this secret experiment. Do you want to hear about it?" Of course. He held out a dark blue folder with a blank cover. "This is a very succinct description of the clandestine experiment developed for the Apollo, which you will not find in the official overview. It piggybacks on an already planned experiment with distant neutron stars, so even the astronauts aren't aware of it. If you wish to read it, this is your only opportunity." I eagerly grabbed the folder. The summation ran a page and a half, but it read like a standard study of radioactivity from a nearby star. "This sounds routine," I said. "It's anything but. The star is very faint, and it's not visible to the naked eye. It was only discovered 3 years ago by an astronomer studying our galactic neighborhood. How much do you know about the Doppler effect?" "A little. It has something to do with detecting the movement of objects in space. If they're moving away from us, the light spectrum shifts to the red, but is blue if they're approaching." "Exactly. When this star was discovered, it had an almost imperceptible blue shift. But a few months later, the astronomer took another quick look, and to his amazement, the spectrum had shifted to the red. Stars do not suddenly reverse course. He suspected a heliocentric correction accounted for some of it, but he was shocked to find a precise match. I said, I didn't follow that last part. All by itself, the Earth's orbit around the sun caused the spectrum shifts. When the Earth was circling toward the star, the spectrum was blue. But when it rounded the sun and receded, it changed to red. In other words, the star appeared to be motionless, which is impossible and would upend every advancement since Newton uncovered the laws of gravity. I felt something momentous approaching. I'm still unclear. He went grave. The object was keeping pace with our solar system, as if tracking and observing us. It wasn't a star, and it has disappeared. So that's one of the amazing things that Claudia learns her first year at the network in Accidental Profit. Many, many more amazing things are uncovered here. And I got some really good reviews for it. People found it enjoyable. They said it was an easy read. So if you do read it, I would love it if you could leave a review or a comment on Amazon or Goodreads or wherever you want to. But thank you very much again for clicking on the video. I hope to have a new novel out, hopefully through Bold Strokes Books. They're a wonderful outfit, as I said. Great people, great editors. So I hope to see you next year at Saints and Sinners in New Orleans. We've been through a lot of crazy stuff these last 5 years, so it's time to just breathe a little bit and enjoy New Orleans, right? Okay, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Daniel W.K. Lee, coming from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'll be reading a few ghazals from my book, Anatomy of Want. Secrets. Black currants and bergamot infuse the deep secrets. The bar serves fevered water as sangria to steep secrets. Your phone's in love, you say. It calls you without me. Has it drunk dialed and left after the beep secrets? A light bulb is loosened behind the wrought iron gate, a square under the stairs where we'd heap secrets. Scanning the dedications in his rare editions, the ones missing my name belong with the cheap secrets. Winter's kimono sleeves whirl, wetting the eyes. A clever cover in daylight while we seep secrets. An accomplice of rapture rewinds to the crime. The shoebox falls twice. Beneath breath creep secrets. He peels back his hood, and with it hesitation. Let want be canine. I'll put to sleep secrets. For food, for thrill, for fucking, the appetite asks, isn't a hunger left hungry, free to reap secrets? Your mouth, Daniels, they've turned into honeycomb. Hint, their sweet walls once did more than keep secrets. In the dark. Not just mine, but your intentions stain in the dark. Rechristened temptation gathers like rain in the dark. By what regime of lotion, genes, or God are such soft slopes justified in being vain in the dark? Smash the dinner plates for this extinguished distance. I'll pour the shots, darling, to drain in the dark. The clothes measure a man, says who, when patterns from paisleys to pinstripes are all plain in the dark. Oh, blameless boy, of the bare way we failed you, you were, with no wind, a weather vane in the dark. Wherever God's hiding the cure for your death sentence, for you, I'm overturning every grain in the dark. When all else is hijacked, I'll leave you the hymn. The ear never loses the refrain in the dark. Is the dark pitiless to prolong the punishment? Reliving your whisper is worth the pain in the dark. Before caving in to lips pursed into an apology, give me a chance to at least complain in the dark. Silence, be warned, is a consummate politician, an ally in light, bane in the dark. A toast to ignorance for prolonging bliss. Why sober a thrill if we remain in the dark? I fall into fantasy. How do I know? You are saying this word yours, Daniel. Could you explain in the dark? In your arms. This holocaust of clocks, their movement entombed in your arms, left behind, borrowed time, quietly consumed in your arms. Half true, I have no sense, querido, I struggle for you. Whatever ever made sense limps, doomed in your arms. The stink of longing inside the misanthrope's throat, like a shit pile it just mushroomed in your arms. Beautify, why? Because lilies of the Nile and the desert of winter bloomed in your arms? An avatar you are by the way you've tamed hurricanes and strands of lightning groomed in your arms. Fall over her first in a hesitant drizzle. She's seen how a monsoon loomed in your arms. A shortage of reasons to see me and demand high, an economy of ruses instantly boomed in your arms. To compose prematurely a requiem for us, the practice of letting go resumed in your arms. For lawless knowledge of the edges of your tongue, guilt and innocence presumed in your arms. Rumi's unread revolution, love cannot be said. In other words, silence is assumed in your arms. The chin scar is the index concealed on Daniel's face. Where was the last hand to reach it exhumed? In your arms? And finally, home. Where were you finding me? Everywhere, not home. As if a rearview mirror is your blind spot home. What is fair in love and war? Only fire, ashes. Men who perfected burning always never got home. God in shame, even angels refused the Holy Land. None surrendered Jerusalem, everyone fought home. History will not restore him, no, dying was his ticket. When else save dying is diaspora brought home. A nomad in exile draws his blinds, vanishes to where no one else thought, nobody thought home. P.S. Daniel, I've left to become disaster's first orphan. On the page I found you, in the poem I sought home. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Eric Peterson, coming to you from Washington, D.C. I'll be reading an excerpt from my forthcoming novel, Loyalty, Love, and Forsooth. It's not out yet, but it is available for pre-order at www.boldstrokesbooks.com. This is an excerpt from Chapter 2, a flashback chapter that tells the story of the time that our protagonist met his now ex-boyfriend. Chapter 2, Midsummer Madness. I met Freddie Babcock 4.5 years earlier, and I figured he was the love of my life. I joined the Gay Men's Chorus of Washington that year because all of my friends were the straight people I'd known for years, Nice people, but it was time to branch out. And there was a faint possibility I might even meet someone worth dating. So I auditioned and made it in, even though my voice shook a little. New member orientation happened on a late summer afternoon upstairs at a gay bar the chorus had rented for the occasion. I arrived early because I was eager, slightly nervous, didn't want to walk in late, and was, okay, I admit it, irrationally nervous. I had been to Pansies before, but only late at night when it was so crowded it could take 15 minutes to travel the 30 steps from the bar to the patio door. Now I was surprised how cavernous it was, how cheap and tacky the floors looked, and how small the stage was without a big drag queen on it. One could, however, still smell the Axe body spray from the night before, but don't judge. It's tough to be a young gay with an entry-level job paying a DC rent. Freddie was the only person there. He was taller than me, dressed in a bright pink polo shirt, which he filled out magnificently, and a pair of seersucker shorts, which displayed two very skinny legs. Apart from the legs, I thought he looked a bit like Superman. Black hair with a hint of curl, square jaw, icy blue eyes, even the dimple. And so I behaved the way I always do when confronted with perfect specimens of male beauty. I became my 5-year-old self, refusing to make eye contact, so even in the unlikely event he might meet my gaze, the blood rushing to my cheeks wouldn't cause my head to spontaneously combust. "Are you here for GMCW?" he asked, and I nodded. "Name?" "Charlie Vernon," I replied, extending a hand. Freddie chuckled, opened his arms, and said, "We hug a lot in the chorus. Welcome." He would later tell me he didn't hug new members as a rule, but he thought I was kind of cute. "I recognize the name," he said, still in my embrace. "Gary thought you gave a wonderful audition." That was a lie, but I appreciated it. "I didn't catch your name," I stammered when he finally let go. "Oh, sorry," he chuckled. "I'm Freddie Babcock. I'm the president of the chorus." And as I remember this day, there's always a fleeting freeze frame at this moment as Barbara Streisand sings in my ear. Freddie Babcock, Freddie Babcock, what a beautiful, beautiful name. Anyway, nice to meet you, Freddie. How early am I? Oh, about 90 minutes. I made my awkward face, and we both laughed as I backed away. "Let me get out of your hair. Your luscious, curly, black as night hair." "No, it's okay. The bar opens soon. You're more than welcome to..." But I was too embarrassed to stay. "You probably have to set up or something, right?" "Well, yeah," he said, "but you don't have to go. I mean, feel free to hang out or..." "No," I demurred. "There's a coffee place across the street where I can study my music or something." "You sure?" Yeah, positive. I don't want to be in the way." On my way down the stairs, it occurred to me, this is why I don't have many gay friends, because gay people, especially handsome ones, scare me to death. Hopefully this chorus would contain lots of ugly people I could be friends with. Otherwise, there'd be no hope for me. When I returned to the bar, I was only 10 minutes early, and there were a lot more people there, including a freckle-faced redhead holding a clipboard greeting people. "GMCW?" he asked, and I nodded. "Name?" "Charlie Vernon." "Oh, nice to meet you, Charlie. I'm Tucker Pickett, Vice President of Membership. Welcome." "Thanks," I said, both relieved and disappointed that Superman in a hot pink polo was, for the time being, nowhere to be found. Your chorus buddy is..." "Oh, fiddlesticks. Uh, excuse me?" "Oh, I'm sorry. Roger isn't here yet. They were all supposed to be here early. Oh, damn it, there are folks behind you too. Will you be all right on your own for a bit?" I smiled. I'm a Navy brat. I'm used to being the new kid in school." "Oh, you're sweet," he said, pointing to a lone gentleman leaning against one end of the enormous bar, scrolling through his phone. "That's my fiance, Jack. You tell him I said to buy you a drink. Roger should be here soon." Well, I took one look at Jack, whose tight t-shirt revealed every abdominal muscle an adult male could possibly acquire, and I knew I'd not be casually sauntering up to him and requesting a drink. Instead, I made my way to the other end of the bar, started a tab in exchange for a plastic cup of Pinot Grigio, and just observed. As people began to fill the place, it felt less like a cavern and more like a sardine can, and it still smelled like Axe body spray. "You're back," said a soft voice in my ear. "I'm back," I smiled, turning to face him. What Freddie Babcock didn't know was I never made it to that coffee shop. I opted instead for a wine bar, and this was now my 4th glass of fermented grape juice in 90 minutes. But hey, what Freddie didn't know wouldn't hurt him. "Don't you have a buddy?" I've been stood up, like Lucille Bremer in Meet Me in St. Louis. They're going to make me go to the Christmas ball with my brother. His spacious, masculine, gorgeous forehead furrowed in confusion. "I've never seen it," he said, sitting on the empty bar stool next to mine. "Well, I'm afraid I'll need to confiscate your gay card immediately." "You'll have to wrestle me for it," he said, leaning in. "Listen, I have to go up there and give a little speech in a minute, and if you don't have a buddy when I get back, maybe I can fill in." I might have had a seductive, witty retort at the ready, but I made the mistake of looking directly at him, struck powerless to do anything but stare into his magnificent blue eyes for 5 awkward seconds. "Y- y- You're very polite," I finally said. It made him smile. He had perfect teeth. God damn it. "I try." And with that, he was gone for the moment. And I'll stop there. Please visit www.boldstrokesbooks.com if you'd like to pre-order a copy of Loyalty, Love, and Forsooth. Many, many thanks to Saints and Sinners for including me in this reading series. I am very, very grateful.
Hi, Saints and Sinners. My name is Patrick Earl Ryan. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana originally, but I live in San Francisco now. I'll be reading from my book, If We Were Electric, which is short stories. This is a short story right from the middle of the book called The Blue Sun. The Blue Sun. My brother's ghost is 28, younger than when he died. This is the way Ma has Jess in her head, and likewise the way she birthed him again. As a ghost, he has no bandages or beat eyes or swollen cheeks that had made her heart ache the days before he died. She is getting along better since I last saw her. She cleans the parlor while I wait in the hallway, and I see her through the doorway moving her hands back and forth across the top of my brother's urn. She speaks to it in a fussing voice and asks him if she should let me back into the house, if I can have his room because my room has been born again as laundry room. That would clean me out, I suppose. Where my bed should be are suds and huge jugs of bleach, but no place for me. She is murmuring now, hardly moving her lips at all, but I can hear a faint hum as I pace between the stairs and the living room because the wood floors resonate her voice. She is bent over the urn, waiting for his reply. He will speak his mind about me. The things I've done are not dismissible, and according to him, I shouldn't be let back into the house. My wickedness is that strong. So I sit outside the parlor, its high ceilings and fiery gold angels cast in the molding, and wait too. As noon passes, from inside the room, a warm glow arises from her questions. It ignites the furniture with new color and excites the faces of my ancestors, who are carefully lined on the mantel to watch the goings-on. The ghost forms from behind the furniture grate until our mother's cheeks fill up like his. His arms grow out of the lampposts and his legs from the end tables. His body swells out of the yellow wall. A sudden whirl of light, and he has eyes. Gives a quick look at me, then a sneer. "He can't stay," the ghost begins. "I know," she answers, and hunches her shoulders up as if to say, "After all these years, what can he expect?" I'm not surprised by the talk. It's the way things still go, the fairness of being younger by 9 years. Since my flight arrived in New Orleans this morning, and for the 3 or 4 hours that I've been back in the house, time has skipped back a whole decade. I told her I was dying before I told her anything else. and she looked away out into the hot black streets, then asked, "Why did you steal money from my purse?" As if I were not there, and that child with all his teeth intact was sitting in the seat with arms crossed. She brought me into the house and asked, "Was it not having a father that turned you bad? Was I not good enough a mother?" That's always concerned her. Then she questioned if I was up to no good with that skinny neighbor boy way back when. I answered no, but it's all fresh now. I remember so well that skinny boy and me, bare-chested, and him kissing my cheek out back behind the bicycle shed. Then exploring each other's bodies like playful white-skinned monkeys. Those are the days when I was alive. And somewhere in the Midwest, Paul was alive too, years before we were meant to be lovers, thrashing in boyhood with other boys like me. I join them and lean into the doorway of the parlor while she continues her conversation with Ghost. "You still have his room," I remind her, trying to convince her that it's her decision. "I haven't been in his room for years," she says. Well, he hasn't either. The Ghost dances around the parlor, pushing air away with his vague hands, until his head is inches from mine. "He'll just keep using you," he argues. "What does he know?" I tell her. "It's true. I don't know what else to tell you," she says, and points to Jess large and bright above me. "Your brother's right. It's all you've ever done. Use me and use me more." That was 10 years ago, Ma. I want to say that I've grown up after all these years, and I want something different from her now. But Jess keeps her away and keeps her heart closed up. "Remember," he says, "it was right there on the same couch. You can't forget about a thing like that." He reminds her that the first time I slept with a man was in her living room. God was watching from over the doorway, and with blood rising in his face, my brother shucked the naked boy across the entire room. Us two wondrous adolescents, the 17-year-old shaking wildly on top of me and biting my neck and singing passion with a craze that only comes when you think you're safe, found and tried on the spot. I covered myself with a sheet while my brother went to fisting the boy in the gut. "No faggots are going to come into this house," he yelled. The Navy had done him well. He lifted me up with ease and wrung me up by my collarbones. And all I could think of was how immense he had grown to be, a superstructure that would keep this heavy-handed house up till doomsday. "Mama treats you too good to disgrace our house with boys like that." I was only a boy, I say to her now, and turn to him with a turbulent rage in my head. He damn near killed the kid anyway. She shakes her head and says to me, "Your brother lived a good life. You should have followed in his footsteps." "I know, Ma, but..." "The boy knows what he's talking about," she says, and nods towards the Ghost. "I think you could have learned something from him." Jess backs away with a wide and red grin that makes his face look too large and extraordinary. He's ready to pounce on me again and knock the lewdness right out. But Ma looks away from us both. Maybe that goes for both of you. It's always fighting with you two. So I go to the hallway and sit again. Jess settles across the table with his urn. He's no less of a bully than he was when we were kids. He mocks me from the parlor by rubbing his eyes with his fists and pushing his lips nearly down to his chin. I scowl back at him, remembering how he would wrestle me down in the backyard. I'd wind up with mud smudged across my face, and I'd play dead so he wouldn't hit me again. Thank you very much, and thank you again for coming to the Saints and Sinners Festival. We're glad you're here, and hopefully we'll see you live next year.
Hi everyone, I'm Alison R Solomon, author of the Gulfport Mystery Series, which features the real town of Gulfport, Florida, which is a funky, progressive, very lesbian-friendly town. I have a short story in the SAS anthology this year, which I hope you'll check out. And today I'm reading an excerpt from my as yet unpublished memoir. The memoir describes my Orthodox Jewish upbringing in England, then moves to Israel, where I became secular, and most importantly, it's where I came out. This is the beginning of the chapter in which I describe my first sexual encounter with a woman. I'm lying in bed with a naked woman on top of me, who has the most ginormous, pendulous breasts I have ever seen. This is not some fantasy or dream. It is the first time I have ever lain in bed with another woman. It just so happens Elena has the biggest breasts I will ever encounter before or since. Elena is kissing me, and running through my head is the phrase, "I'm kissing a woman. I, a woman, am kissing another woman." I try to reject the phrase, but merely manage to replace it. There is a woman with her tongue in my mouth. I am kissing her. I lie still, unable to move. The kissing is quite pleasant, so I allow my tongue to explore her mouth, which feels pretty much like other mouths I've kissed, and has the advantage that it is not surrounded by prickly stubble, so it will not leave my face red and itchy. I'm completely unclear what to do with the breasts that are flapping all over me. This is so far removed from Yaakov's hairy chest that I'm at a loss. Should I touch them? Do something with them? Move them to the side? Since I never did anything with Yaakov's chest, I decide that for now I will ignore the voluminous memories that are dangling over me and just focus on the kissing. I am kissing a woman. Elena seems to know what she's doing. Her hands are moving across my chest, and the sensation is extremely pleasant. I'm kissing a woman. She kisses my chest. Even more pleasant. Then she begins to maneuver herself so that she's moving further down. She kisses my stomach, another pleasant feeling. But then she moves further. No, I can't do that. I sit up and cough. She stops. I lie back down, hoping she can take a hint. She kisses my tummy again. Nice. Then moves south. This time I cough several times, sitting up and hoping she will do likewise. She waits patiently. It's hard to cough when you don't need to, but I begin to cough so violently that I actually can't stop. She sits up and puts her arm around me. Are you okay? She says. Now that she's sitting up, I can see that her breasts reach her waist. A thought flits through my head. She's 21 years old, and already her breasts hang down to her waist. Where will they go when she's Mum's age? I stop coughing. She strokes my arm and my chest. Are you okay? She repeats. I didn't think you were ill. I'm not. Just nervous. She is sitting up, holding me, and it feels good. I'm 25 years old and feel more embarrassed than when I was 16 and Simon Kahn was explaining to me what happens when boys ejaculate. But he expected me to be naive and innocent. Clearly, Elena does not. Why? Like me, Elena is a volunteer at the Rape Crisis Center. Like me, she is an immigrant, having made Aliyah from Uruguay with her sister Jessica. I'm working for Cytex Industries, a cutting-edge, high-tech graphics firm that focuses on printed circuit board manufacturing and automated input-output devices for color digital pre-pressed systems. She is a film major at Tel Aviv University. What's going on, Alison? Elena graduated from the volunteer class after mine, and I am her mentor for working with rape survivors. She's short, barely 5 feet tall, has a large nose and wild curly hair. She's the daughter of a doctor who was one of the first to discover SIDA, AIDS, in South America. And she has been a lesbian for as long as she can remember. She has made certain assumptions about me. They're probably based on the fact that when she announced at the volunteer meeting earlier that evening that she was going to Divines, the gay bar, I said I wanted to come too. A month ago, I wouldn't have known what Divines was, but I've been having long conversations with Carmela and Hannah, a lesbian couple who have lived together for 20 years, who also volunteer at the center. Don't you want children? I've asked them. No, they never did. What do your parents say about the two of you? I've probed. Hannah's family prefer to think of Carmela as Hannah's best friend. Carmela's family disowned her. Where do lesbians hang out? Answer, Divines, a male gay bar that is open to women on Tuesday nights. What do you do when a girl you barely know wants to go down on you? I haven't asked this last question, which is why I am now floundering. So I'm going to leave it there. You can find out more about me at www.AlisonRSolomon.com. Thanks for having me as part of the Saints and Sinners reading series, and I hope to see everyone in person next year at SAS Fest.